Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, back with more Christmas cards, these ones slightly non-traditional, and including a bunch of hot foiling. But you can skip this step, do like a simple embossed background, use different sentiments, that sort of thing. But I was having a very good foiling moment. So I started with, this is Spellbinders OPAL Hot Glimmer Foil, which I've never had luck with, mostly because, unlike all the other foils, it is very difficult once you've cut it to tell which side is the pretty side. Because I always say, and that's standard practice, is the pretty side of the foil faces the plate. And yeah, this is the only one that once you've cut it and it's no longer attached to the roll, at least for me, I can't tell. So I was like, how am I going to do this? Because I showed my plate here. I have foiled it, which is fine. You can use acetone to remove when you foil your plates, like to actually remove the foil from the plate, but I don't care. I just leave it. Plus it just reminds me, pretty side of the foil faces the plate. So I was like, I want to use this foil. It's beautiful. So I wrapped it around a piece of A2 size cardstock. This is just Simon Smooth White cardstock taped into place. I've got the Honeybee Plaid A2 hot foil plate. Set it on the Glimmer foil system, got it heated up, press the buttons, everything. When it was time to go, put the piece of cardstock with the foil wrapped around it, facing the plate. So the pretty side of the foil was facing the plate. And this worked like a dream. It was perfect. I also think, and I think I mentioned this in just a recent video, having the foil taped down, especially for larger things like this, helps to prevent, because sometimes the foil can get curled up, things shift, all those all the little random things that can just mess up your foiling, cause you to have a not good time. You know what I mean? A lot of people ask me about tips and tricks. I'm trying to share what I know. I'm not an expert with foiling. I'm still just learning as I go along. So this was the newest thing that I figured out, is just wrapping the foil around the cardstock and taping it into place. So I did that one piece and it worked. So I was like, can I do it again? Was the first one just dumb luck? So I took another piece of A2 cardstock, wrapped that opal foil around it with the pretty side facing out because it'll be facing the plate. Heated up, heated up the plaid hot foil plate again, doing the exact same thing. Once it's ready to go, stick the cardstock with the foil, pretty side facing the plate, and then running this slowly through my Platinum 6 machine. And this will work with any of the Glimmer hot foils. It doesn't specifically have to be this opal foil. Like you could use the gold, the silver, etc., etc. And I'm actually going to show the silver in a minute here. So I did this the second time. The one thing I noticed again with specifically this opal foil is this is not overfoiling. I'm pointing this out here. All those little bits, this is not overfoiling. It's not pressed into the cardstock. It just comes away. It's kind of like when you peel off the foil, it's like bits just want to stick around, but they're not actually pressed in, like actual overfoiling, where the foil gets pressed in the cardstock and you need to use an eraser and those sorts of things to remove it. This just wipes off. It's just excess, which again, I've only noticed it with this foil more so than any of the other ones. It still happens here and there. When you've got finicky little details in a foil plate and you peel away the foil and it's like, oh, it's not very crisp, but then you just lightly wipe it, or like I showed there a second ago with just a brush. You just brush it away and it's good. It's not actually over foiled. It's just a little bit of excess. So because of that, with these backgrounds that I did, the negative foil pieces, I didn't bother saving those because so much of it kind of peeled off, if you know what I mean, that there was no point trying to salvage them and refoil them with the flat plate, anything like that. So again, those little like leftover bits, rubbed them away with my fingers and a brush, they're good to go. So, because I was having a good foiling moment, I was like, let's try something else. Let's take it to another level. So this time I have silver Glimmer hot foil wrapped around a piece of A2 cardstock. And then rather than using a large solid plate, I'm using a whole bunch of sentiments. And these are from the Honeybee Foil Script Holiday pack that comes with the hot foil sentiments and the wafer dies. So I had wrapped the cardstock with the foil, and then I taped several of those sentiments into place, and then flip that over onto my Hotfoil, my Glimmer Hotfoil machine. So it's basically the plates with the, words face up, the foil with the pretty side facing the plates, then my cardstock. Everything just happens to be taped into place. Ran the timer, ran this slowly through my Platinum 6 die cut machine. And I was like, we'll just see. We'll just see if this works. And it did. It worked perfectly. I was just, when you peel it away and it's like, oh, one little spot there, right in the middle of the J on Joy. That's the only actual overfoiling I got. And that's irrelevant because it's like, I can remove that. But also the coordinating die cuts actually die cut that little tiny centerpiece. So it's good to go. So I did that twice. Because, again, I was having a good foil moment. So I'm like, let's just keep going. So I had foiled 2 pieces of white cardstock with those sentiments. Now, like I said, there's coordinating wafer dies, which you can see here. It's the set comes with the hot foil sentiments and the coordinating wafer dies, which love, because I do not like lining up hot foil anything. If I can die cut it, it's great. But I was like, let's just see if I can use the leftovers. Now, because I had taped all of those hot foil plates to the foil, the cardstock, the leftover foil was kind of messed up. It's not pristine, but I was like, again, I'm going to die cut this and why not try it? So I used my PinkFresh solid hot foil plate. I took that leftover silver foil. I had wrapped it around another piece of smooth white cardstock and then I'd heated up the plate, put that cardstock with the foil pretty side facing the plate, and then ran it through my machine. And with the solid hot foil plate, that's the only one I will run back and forth just to really press it in. And again, it worked. It's not a perfect, like if I had wanted this as a background, it wouldn't be perfect because there was bits here and there missing because of the tape. But again, that's irrelevant. Like you can see here, like the first one, I was like, I honestly didn't expect it to work, but it did. Like this is kind of a little bit wrinkly. The foil is messed up because I'd had all those different sentiments taped directly to the foil and you cannot remove them, perfectly. But the actual sentiments and the little bit of foil around them are usable. So I was like, this is just working great. Let's do it again. Especially with the hot foil plate. This is where things can get iffy. Like the solid hot foil plate like this. And again, I find what has been working is regardless of what it is I'm foiling, to wrap the foil around a piece of cardstock or tape it. I showed that in the Trinity Christmas tree video I just did. Was that just yesterday? Day before? I can't even remember, you guys. But same idea. Like taping the foil down before running it through with the solid hot foil plate seems to help because it eliminates those wrinkles that just want to form. And yeah, I ran this piece through, did the exact same thing. This took a little bit of fiddling to get the plate off. I just flipped the plate over onto the silicone mat to cool off. I find that's just the easiest than dealing with magnets because especially those big plates, they can get hot. Anyway, again, this turned out perfect. It's so satisfying. So I die cut all of those sentiments with the coordinating wafer dies and ended up with like 5 times more than I planned because I was only going to do a few cards. And now I have like 5 million Christmas sentiments, but they're beautiful. And I'm really glad I did this because I ended up going with the silver ones over the white ones with the silver words. So I have all these sentiments that I die cut. I have this little, and people are going to ask me, this is just a silicone cupcake baking tray. I picked this up at a local or like a big box grocery store. Any sort of cupcake tray, baking trays, are great to hold die cut pieces. This one just happens to be a really cute silicone one. The brand is Trudeau, no relation to the Canadian Prime Minister, just FYI. But I got it on sale. It's cute. And yeah, any cupcake tray is going to work. I like the silicone one though, because then this isn't sliding around everywhere, The metal ones I'd have sliding around on my glasswork surface. So I have tons of die cuts. I had that baking tray out because I die cut a ton of the Honeybee Lovely Layers Winter Greenery from tons of cardstock. I was doing that for the live videos I did for Honeybee earlier this month. And I've kept all those die cut pieces. I don't often do a bunch of mass die cutting because I have nowhere to put them. But it's Christmas time and I'm making Christmas cards. So I die cut all those pieces, had them sitting in the tray. And then I also die cut some cardstock with the Honeybee Lovely Layers Poinsettia that I have been just itching to use. Both of, like pretty much all of what I'm using has sold out multiple times since Honeybee released it. Every time I'd go to use it, it's sold out. And I just chose not to check before I did this video. I was having some good moments, you guys, with the foiling and everything. So it's like, you know what? I'm not going to ruin it by checking to see if this stuff is in stock. They will restock as soon as they can if they do happen to be sold out. I couldn't handle it, you know? So anyway, those backgrounds with the plaid hot foil plate and the opal foil, I cut down to smaller than an A2 card, and I adhered them to white top folding A2 card bases. And then I adhered a couple of the hot foil sentiments to the insides of those cards. And then the Lovely Layers Poinsettia, I die cut from some soft navy cardstock. I thought I would just go a little non-traditional, and I was just in a blue mood. So, and I was like, they need to be blue. I've done red ones already. I've done plenty of red poinsettias. Pink is also fun. I was going to do purple, but I was like, I just did purple cards not too long ago, so let's do blue. So these adhere unbelievably easily. All of Honeybee's Lovely Layers sets. I've done many videos. In fact, I have an entire playlist so far with all of the videos I've done so far using them. And they come together. They do have graphics that you can download. I'm not sure if they always come with the sets because I, get things early, etc. But again, you do one and trust me, everything lines up. It's so simple. And that's also what I love because I don't have to think, The centers for these, I actually die cut from little leftover bits from that silver foiled piece from the sentiments. I just die cut from that, the little poinsettia centers. And then I took some of the little greenery, Lovely Layers Winter Greenery. Some had been die cut from dark green cardstock. Some I die cut from some glitter paper. And then I just arranged my cluster with the leaves from the poinsettia die set. And off the screen, my third card, I had already, figured out the layout and assembly and everything. That was my, go-to. So I'm using that as my template. That's why everything's coming together so fabulously. Plus it's sped up in editing. So I look like a super professional, like I know what I'm doing. I was mucking around until I got the layout the way I wanted it and all that stuff. So that's what I'm following for these last two cards. And then I'm going to add more of the reverse hot foil sentiments, which just worked because I was originally going to use just the white with the silver words, but this works so much better. Oh, love. And I don't use silver very often. I know I go towards gold with everything. I love the look of gold splatter, gold cardstock, gold embellishments. I love gold, but silver has its place and it works too. And this was so pretty. And it gave me an excuse to use more of my, the silver foil, which I never touch. These silver embellishments, these are Trinity stamps, stunning silver baubles, and they are stunning. And just like I do again with any multiples of cards that I'm doing, I take one card, I figure out my placement of the bling, and then I repeat that on the remaining ones. It makes everything go way faster. So I figured it out on the first one, and then I followed it on the last two, and then I paired these cards with some soft navy envelopes from Simon, and that finished them off. But like I said, you could just do a simple dry emboss background or stamp, and clear emboss a background, and then just use a die cut or stamp sentiments instead. Not trying to force anybody into the foiling thing. I'm loving it now that it's working. But there are options, to get similar looks. So as always, that opal foil is chef's kiss. Now that I'm finally getting, my such a, mind-blowing trick of taping the foil to the cardstock. Now that I can get the opal foil to work for me and not backwards all the time and foiling my plates, it's beautiful. I love it. So anyway, as always, I will have a link below the video to my blog post. I will have a supply list and I will link to all the supplies I used to make these cards. I will have a link to my holiday playlist so far because I've got a bunch of videos in that. And I'll link to the Lovely Layers playlist I have with all the other beautiful, fabulous, lovely layers wafer dies that I've used. So you can check those out if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye!